But at one point, it seemed like you kind of got a little tired of the music industry. You ended up moving to Atlanta?
I got very tired of the music industry. And yeah, so I did leave off and go to Atlanta to I guess address the spiritual aspect of me, you know, not to be confused with the religious aspect, but the spiritual aspect of myself and who I was or who I am and what are my plans. So I did that for a couple of years and
Well, let me interrupt you for 1 second.
Sure.
There was a rumor that you joined a religious cult and that Jay-Z saved you from that cult.
oh God.
You know
word,
what I'm talking about here?
The word, I know exactly what you're talking about. No, I don't shy from the, that's, I mean, it's what it is. To be called well, I guess under what people would look at as a religious cult, it was that.
Okay. What was the name of it?
Many different names. Ansarul Law Community, Holy Tabernacle Ministries, a couple other Nuwapic, was it Nubian Islamic Hebrews, just a couple other names, but for the most part, this kind of happened, it started when I first got back from London. I met this woman named June in London, and for some reason she was compelled to like show me these different religious landmarks in London. Like she took me to, I don't remember the name of it, but it's supposed to be the largest, one of, or the largest masjids in the world. And that was in reference to Islam, of course. And, she suggested I read some books on the pillars of Islam. And long story short, not to get too deep into that, when I came back to New York, it was open gym in the junior high school that I went to. Everybody, like most of the cats from Marcy and surrounding areas, would go play in IS 318, play ball in the after school center. And it just so happened that the guys who had it open were some Sunni Muslims. So it wasn't them that I talked to so much, but what I heard them say, and they talked about this group of individuals who were all jammed up. That was a slang word that they used when people were opinionated and had things confused. So that intrigued me. Not what they were doing, but what they were saying somebody else was doing intrigued me. And then I remembered, from past years being on the train and these guys in the white coming on the train saying that they had a school for the youth and this, that, and the other, and they were looking for donations, and then they upgraded and they started selling, incense and oils and things of that nature. So me getting involved had nothing to do with, of course, incense and oils, but my affiliations with I don't want to mention the name, but one individual who became a part of the Ansars, and he was telling me that he was doing something, but he couldn't really talk about it over the phone. And I was like, why the hell not? But what I found out, it was this cat that used to run with us. And I don't remember exactly where he was from, but his girlfriend lived in Tompkins. So he used to be around Tompkins and Marcy all the time. Tompkins Projects is adjacent to Marcy. So a lot of branches, right? So he was telling me about there was something he was doing. So one day I saw him downtown Brooklyn, and he was like, now you see what I'm doing. He had on the white. And I was like, okay. So he was telling me a little about what's going on, but, you know, he gave me a book, you know, like a pamphlet and, you know, some oils. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was an avid reader at the time, so I read through the book. It was intriguing. And it really lined up with my search for God, for lack of a better word. And so, trying to bring all this shit together for you. So basically, it turned out, you know, like when you look for something, it all becomes obvious. So one day I'm walking down Bushwick Avenue, which is close to some of the projects where my eldest daughter's mother lived. So I would go by there and, you know, I saw the bookstore. I was like, okay, cool. But people were telling me about this whole wheat pizza, you know, the whole wheat crust and everything, the buckwheat, I should say. And so I started going to the restaurant, eating the food. And what happened was one of Dr. York's, who was the, I don't know if you want to call him the leader or the whatever, was, and not saying whatever to belittle whatever was being done, because the part that we were doing was very positive as far as the community was concerned. But his eldest son saw me, you know, he recognized me, and we started talking. We gained a rapport, and I ended up moving over there. I didn't move in the, you know, the houses, but I was renting an apartment, which of course allowed me to be exposed to everything that was going on around there. Mm-hmm. And I became an advocate of a lot of the things that were being said in the book. And that's what led to some of like the patch you see me wearing and the originators, and so on and so forth.
Nubian thing and everything else like that, right?
Right.
Got it. Okay, so you moved down to Atlanta and you joined this group, cult, whatever you want to call it. But I guess Jay-Z convinced you to move back up to New York because he was starting to move on the music himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
And I guess you and your wife at the time moved in with Jay-Z at State Street.
Helicopters. And him ringing in my ear, man. Helicopters. So I was in an awkward spot, and you know, I needed to reach out to people I could depend on, and so we stayed there for a couple of weeks, and it wasn't the best place to stay, you know, for certain reasons, but it was comfortable, it was clean, and you know, for at least the time that we were there, we were welcome.
Got it.
And so, so after that, we had moved in with my mother for a few weeks, and then I mean, it was one of those things. I mean, I'm not ashamed of anything I do, and I'm not ashamed of not having everything that you have. Like anybody, show me one person who had everything that they always needed all the time, be it material or otherwise.
Yeah, you're going through a rough patch. It's understandable.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So after that, I moved everybody to Georgia, and I was back and forth between New York and Georgia. I wouldn't necessarily say Atlanta. It was more like Stone Mountain, because the work was in New York, production wise and everything, but, my kids, the, young kids, they were down in Georgia. And also my eldest daughter, she was in New York. So
Okay.
I was stretched out pretty thin.